Ever wish you could, like, decode the secrets to just getting ahead?
Mm-hmm.
Well, today we're going to dive into the 48 Laws of Power
Okay.
to uncover some seriously fascinating strategies.
Yeah.
It's a bit Machiavellian,
Yeah.
sure, but who knows? Maybe we'll unlock your inner power player
Yeah.
by the end of this.
I like that. This book is
Uh-huh.
packed with like historical examples and psychological insights.
Yeah.
It's less about endorsing these laws and more about understanding how they operate in the real world,
Okay.
you know?
So let's kick things off with a law that sounds straight out of like a Hollywood thriller.
Okay.
Law 6, court attention at all cost.
Mm-hmm.
What's the key takeaway here?
So this one really highlights the idea that visibility often trumps competence when it comes to power.
Okay.
Think of P.T. Barnum,
Right.
the legendary showman who was like a master of attracting attention.
Like a Fiji mermaid?
Yes, remember the Fiji mermaid and Tom Thumb? He knew how to create a spectacle and generate buzz even if it wasn't always, well, real.
Right, right.
Yeah.
That reminds me of another story from the book
Okay.
about a con man named Count Victor Lustig,
Oh, yeah.
who cultivated an aura of mystery to seem more influential than he actually was.
Ah, yes. Lustig,
Yeah.
the master of illusion.
Yeah.
He would arrive at hotels with a flourish, posing as a European aristocrat, using that air of intrigue to draw people in.
Right.
While everyone was busy trying to figure him out, he'd be running elaborate scams.
So the lesson here is to be strategic about the image you project.
Yeah.
It's not just about being flashy. It's about creating a compelling persona,
Mm-hmm.
a personal brand that draws people in.
Absolutely.
And if you're looking for more deep dives into building your personal brand, by the way,
Yeah.
we've got some excellent resources on our YouTube channel.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, let's move on to a law that might raise a few eyebrows.
Okay.
Law 7, get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit.
Ooh.
This one sounds a bit, shall we say, ethically challenging.
It does make you wonder about the fine line between delegation and, well, taking advantage.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a cautionary tale about the importance of protecting your intellectual property
Okay.
and ensuring you get credit for your work.
Right.
The book uses the example of Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla,
Oh, wow.
where Edison tried to downplay Tesla's invention of the AC system,
Interesting.
which was superior to his own DC system.
So it's a reminder to be mindful of power dynamics, even in collaboration.
Yeah.
And to always protect your contributions.
Absolutely.
Now, this next one sounds a bit sneaky. Law 12. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. So,
This law emphasizes the persuasive power of calculated kindness.
okay.
A well-timed act of honesty or generosity can lower someone's guard, making them more receptive to your influence later on.
It's like the Trojan horse of niceness.
Right.
You create a sense of trust and then, bam,
Exactly.
you get what you want.
Yeah.
Is that what the book is suggesting?
It certainly makes you think about the motivations behind people's actions. Consider this. If someone does you a favor, you naturally feel obligated to reciprocate.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
This law suggests that dynamic can be used strategically.
So it's about being aware that even seemingly selfless acts can have ulterior motives.
Potentially.
Speaking of self-interest, Law 13 states, when asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude.
Right.
It sounds cynical,
Mm-hmm.
but is there truth to it?
The book argues that people are inherently self-interested
Okay.
and more likely to help if they see a benefit for themselves.
Okay.
It's not about being manipulative,
Right.
but framing your requests in a way that highlights mutual benefit.
Uh-huh.
A good example is when the Athenians sided with Corcyra against Corinth in a naval conflict.
Oh, wow.
Not out of compassion, but because it was strategically advantageous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fascinating how history is full of these power plays.
It is, isn't it?
By the way, if you're enjoying these historical anecdotes,
Yeah.
you'll love the content on our YouTube channel.
Awesome.
We've got deep dives into all sorts of historical figures and events,
Yeah.
exploring the power dynamics that shaped their lives.
Yeah.
Now let's delve into Law 14, which sounds like something straight out of a spy movie. Pose as a friend, work as a spy.
Ooh, I like this one.
Information is power, right?
Yeah.
So this is about gathering intel on your rivals, like a master spy.
Exactly.
Okay.
The book uses the example of Louis XIV and his elaborate network of surveillance at the Palace of Versailles.
Oh, wow.
He kept tabs on everyone, learning their secrets and weaknesses to maintain control.
It's a bit unsettling,
Yeah,
but also kind of brilliant.
right.
It's like being a social detective,
Yeah.
noticing subtle cues and decoding people's actions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Law 18 seems to contradict this idea. Do not build fortresses to protect yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Isolation is dangerous.
Interesting.
While it might feel safe to isolate yourself, it can actually make you more vulnerable.
Absolutely.
You become cut off from valuable information and potential allies.
Yeah.
The book uses the example of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huangdi,
Yes.
who isolated himself in a vast palace complex, becoming paranoid and out of touch with his empire. He had a whole terracotta army to protect him in the afterlife. But his isolation ultimately led to his downfall.
It's a good point.
It's a reminder that staying connected and engaged is crucial for anyone in a position of power.
Yeah.
You can't lead from a bunker.
You can't, no.
Now let's move on to a law that sounds a bit intimidating. Law 33. Discover each man's thumbscrew. This sounds a bit like we're entering the realm of psychological manipulation.
Okay.
Thumbscrew.
Yeah.
That sounds ominous.
It does.
What does that even mean in this context?
It refers to identifying someone's weakness,
Okay.
their insecurity, greed, or hidden desire.
Okay.
And using it to your advantage.
Okay.
It's about understanding people's motivations, even their darker impulses to gain leverage.
The book uses the example of Lola Montez,
Oh, yes.
the infamous 19th century dancer and courtesan,
Mhm.
who was a master at exploiting men's weaknesses
Right.
to gain power and influence.
Yes.
It's a fascinating, albeit somewhat disturbing, example of how understanding someone's thumbscrew can be used for personal gain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, let's explore a law that might be useful in the age of social media. Law 36. Disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge.
Okay.
So playing it cool is more powerful than reacting with anger.
Precisely.
Okay.
The book suggests that ignoring something can actually diminish its power. P.T. Barnum, when faced with scandals, often chose to ignore them.
Right.
Or even make light of the situation.
He famously said,
Yeah.
there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Exactly.
Like a mental jujitsu move.
Right.
Redirecting their energy against them.
Yeah.
We actually did a whole video on Barnum's strategies on our YouTube channel.
Oh, cool.
If you're interested in learning more about how he used controversy to his advantage.
I like it. Let's talk about a law that's universally applicable. Law 40, despise the free lunch.
That one seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a free lunch, right?
Right.
We've all heard that before.
We have.
What's the deeper meaning here?
This law warns about the hidden obligations and potential for manipulation
Okay.
that often come with accepting seemingly free things. The book tells the story of two con artists who created a fake diamond mine to swindle investors.
A fake diamond mine.
Yes.
That's incredibly audacious.
It is.
It makes you wonder what seemingly free things in our own lives come with hidden strings attached.
Right.
It's a reminder to always look for the catch.
Absolutely.
And finally, let's wrap up this section with Law 41.
Oh.
Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. This one might resonate with anyone who's ever felt the pressure of living up to someone else's legacy,
Right.
especially if your dad was the CEO or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The book uses the example of Louis XV, who struggled to live up to the legacy of his powerful grandfather, Louis XIV, the Sun King.
Okay.
It highlights the challenges of establishing your own identity when following in the footsteps of someone extraordinary.
Yeah.
It makes you think about how we're all shaped by the legacies of those who came before us. But ultimately, we need to forge our own paths.
It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the greatest challenge is not achieving success,
Right.
but defining it on your own terms.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's shift gears now and explore a law that dives into the psychology of persuasion.
Okay.
Law 27. Play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following.
Okay, this one definitely piques my curiosity. It sounds a bit manipulative,
Right.
but also incredibly intriguing.
Yeah, it's about understanding the human desire for belief
Okay.
and how it can be used to build influence.
Right.
The book highlights the story of George Salmanazar.
A con artist who convinced 18th century London society that he was from Formosa,
Formosa.
a mysterious island.
Okay.
He even invented a whole language and religion.
Wait, people actually believed him?
They did.
That's wild.
He was a master of deception.
Wow.
He ate strange foods, performed bizarre rituals, and even wrote books about Formosan culture.
Golly.
All completely fabricated.
It makes you question how much of what we believe is based on facts versus cleverly crafted stories.
Right.
Speaking of crafting compelling narratives,
Yeah.
if you're enjoying this deep dive into the power of persuasion, be sure to check out our YouTube channel.
Absolutely.
We have a whole series dedicated to the psychology of influence and how it shapes our world.
I love it.
Now let's move on to a law that emphasizes action over hesitation.
Okay.
Law 28, enter action with boldness. This one feels a bit more empowering.
It does, doesn't it?
I love the idea of boldness trumping hesitation.
Yeah.
It's about seizing opportunities and making a statement, right? Exactly.
Okay.
The book uses the example of Pietro Aretino,
Oh, cool.
a 16th century Italian writer who rose from humble beginnings to become a powerful figure.
Wow.
He was known for his bold writing and dramatic gestures. He even publicly slapped a nobleman who had insulted him.
Wow. That's taking boldness to a whole new level.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that approach.
Right.
It does highlight the impact of decisive action.
Absolutely.
Now let's explore the art of subtlety with Law 30. Make your accomplishments seem effortless.
Okay.
This one is tricky.
It is.
It's like a magician never revealing their secrets.
Yeah.
It always feels like I have to work twice as hard to make things look easy.
Right. Well, this law suggests that people are more impressed by those who make difficult tasks seem effortless. Think of Blaise Pascal,
Okay.
the French writer and philosopher known for his clear and concise prose.
Right.
His writing was profound, yet it seemed to flow effortlessly.
It's like a swan gliding gracefully across the water while paddling furiously beneath the surface.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's about masking the effort and presenting a polished image to the world.
Okay.
Now, this next law might seem a bit contradictory.
Okay.
Law 38. Think as you like, but behave like others.
So I have to conform. That doesn't sound very empowering.
It's not about suppressing your individuality,
Okay.
but understanding the importance of blending in and choosing your battles wisely. Openly challenging social norms can backfire.
Right.
The book uses the example of Giordano Bruno,
Okay.
an Italian philosopher who was burned at the stake for heresy.
His story is a tragic reminder that even brilliant ideas need to be presented strategically
Yes.
to gain acceptance. It's a delicate balance between staying true to yourself
Yeah.
and navigating the complexities of social dynamics.
Absolutely.
Now let's delve into a law that sounds a bit like a military strategy.
Okay.
Law 42, strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. This one sounds intense.
It does.
What's the takeaway here?
It's about identifying and neutralizing the key figures in a group or organization.
Right.
Removing the leader can create disarray and make it easier to exert control.
Okay.
It's a tactic that's been used throughout history,
Yeah.
from ancient conquests to modern-day corporate takeovers.
It's like a game of chess. You focus on capturing the king, not just the pawns.
Right.
It highlights the importance of understanding power structures
Yeah.
and how to disrupt them strategically.
Absolutely.
Let's shift focus now to a law that emphasizes a softer approach.
Okay.
Law 43, work on the hearts and minds of others. This one seems to be about persuasion rather than force.
It does.
So it's about winning people over with charm and charisma,
Right.
like a master manipulator.
It's about understanding that true power lies in influence,
Yeah.
not just coercion.
Right.
It's about appealing to people's emotions and aspirations to win their support. The book uses the example of the Roman Emperor Augustus, who used propaganda and public image to solidify his power.
Interesting.
He presented himself as a benevolent ruler and champion of the people.
It sounds like a public relations campaign for an emperor.
Kind of, yeah.
It's fascinating how he used storytelling and imagery to shape public perception.
It is, isn't it?
Now, this next law is a bit of a brain teaser.
Okay.
Law 44. Disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect. I'm not sure I follow this one.
Okay, well.
Mirror effect. What does that even mean?
It's about mirroring your opponent's behavior to disarm and manipulate them. It's a subtle form of psychological judo,
Okay.
using their own energy against them.
Can you give me an example? I'm
Yeah.
having trouble visualizing this one.
So imagine dealing with someone who's aggressive and confrontational.
Okay.
Instead of reacting with similar aggression,
Right.
You respond with calmness and composure, reflecting their behavior back at them.
So it's like they're punching at a mirror
Yeah.
and hurting themselves in the process.
Exactly.
It's a way of disrupting their expectations and making them question their approach.
Right.
Okay.
The book uses the example of Charles Maurice de Talleyrand-Périgord,
Wow. Okay.
a French diplomat who navigated the tumultuous French Revolution and Napoleonic era by adapting to the prevailing political winds and mirroring the behavior of those in power.
He was like a political chameleon.
Yes.
Blending in with his surroundings to survive and thrive. It's a fascinating example of how adaptability and strategic mirroring can be powerful tools for navigating complex situations.
They can.
This brings us to a crucial concept, especially for those who have tasted success.
Okay.
Law 45, preach the need for change, but never reform too much at once.
Right.
See, it's about pacing yourself when it comes to change.
It is.
Why is that important?
Well, people are naturally resistant to change.
Yeah.
Especially if it's sudden or drastic.
Right.
Pushing for too much too soon can create anxiety and resistance.
Okay.
The book uses the example of Oliver Cromwell, the English Puritan leader who eventually became Lord Protector of England.
Yeah.
He wanted to transform England into a republic.
Why?
But he knew he couldn't do it overnight.
He had to gradually chip away at the monarchy's power, building alliances and consolidating his position before making any radical moves.
Precisely.
Okay.
He understood that change is a process, not an event.
Right.
And sometimes the most effective changes happen incrementally.
Speaking of gradual change,
Yeah.
you know what else has changed over time?
What's that?
The way people consume information.
Right.
That's why we've created a YouTube channel
Awesome.
where you can dive deeper into these concepts at your own pace.
I love it.
It's a great way to supplement this deep dive with visuals,
Yeah.
historical footage, and additional insights.
Cool.
Now let's get back to the 48 Laws of Power.
Okay.
With Law 46, never appear too perfect. Wait, so it's bad to be perfect?
Oh.
I thought that was the goal.
Perfection can be intimidating and even alienating. It can breed envy and resentment.
It's like the tall poppy syndrome.
Yeah.
The tallest poppy gets cut down.
Right.
Does the book give an example of this?
It highlights the story of Michelangelo,
Okay.
who was commissioned to paint the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
A rival architect, Bramante, jealous of Michelangelo's talent, tried to sabotage the project.
So Michelangelo was set up to fail.
Kind of, yeah.
What happened?
Instead of letting Bramante's envy destroy him, Michelangelo channeled it into fuel for his creativity.
Wow.
He poured his heart and soul into the Sistine Chapel,
Okay.
creating a masterpiece that silenced his critics.
It's a reminder that sometimes our adversaries can be our greatest motivators.
They can.
Now let's wrap up our exploration of the 48 Laws of Power.
Okay.
With Law 47, do not go past the mark you aimed for. In victory, learn when to stop.
Right.
This law is about recognizing that victory can be just as dangerous as defeat. It can lead to arrogance, overconfidence, and a loss of perspective. It's like the saying, quit while you're ahead.
Yeah.
But why is it so hard to do?
The book uses the example of Cyrus the Great,
Okay.
the Persian king, who built a vast empire but eventually overextended himself, leading to his downfall.
It's a classic tale of hubris.
It is.
He let his success cloud his judgment.
He did.
It highlights the importance of knowing when to stop, consolidate your gains,
Yeah.
and avoid overreaching.
Yeah.
Sometimes the wisest move is to walk away from the table, even when you're on top.
Absolutely.
So we've reached the end of our journey through the 48 Laws of Power.
It has been a journey.
It's been a fascinating, if somewhat unsettling, exploration of the dynamics of power and human nature.
Yeah, it really has.
We've covered so much ground, from the art of deception to the dangers of hubris. It's a lot to process.
It is, but I think that's the beauty of the 48 Laws of Power.
Yeah.
It challenges our assumptions about power and encourages us to think strategically
Right.
about our interactions with others.
And hopefully we can use this knowledge for good, not for like manipulating others
Right.
or climbing the corporate ladder at any cost.
I agree.
Right.
That's the key, isn't it?
Right,
To
yeah.
wield this knowledge responsibly and ethically.
So
Yeah.
speaking of responsibility,
Okay.
let's talk about the final law we'll be covering today.
Okay.
Law 48, assume formlessness. Now this one sounds a bit abstract.
It is a bit abstract.
Yeah.
It's about the power of adaptability and fluidity.
Okay.
The book suggests that by remaining flexible and adaptable,
Right.
you become elusive and unpredictable like water.
So it's like being a chameleon,
Yes,
blending in with your surroundings and adapting to different situations.
exactly.
Okay.
It's about avoiding rigid structures and fixed plans.
Right.
The world is constantly changing, and those who can adapt quickly will have a distinct advantage.
It's like the saying, be like water, my friend.
Right.
You can flow around, obstacles crash against rocks, or
Uh-huh.
gently seep into the ground. You're not limited by a fixed form.
Precisely.
Okay.
The book uses the example of the Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu,
Right.
who emphasized the power of yielding and non-resistance in his teachings on Taoism.
So it's not about being passive,
No.
but about being strategically adaptable.
Exactly.
You're not fixed in your approach.
Mm-hmm.
You're constantly adjusting to the situation.
Right.
And that can be incredibly powerful,
Yeah,
especially in a world that's increasingly volatile and uncertain.
absolutely.
This whole deep dive has been a fascinating exploration of the complexities of power.
Yeah.
It's made me realize how much these laws are at play in our everyday lives, even if we're not consciously aware of them.
I think that's the most valuable takeaway from the 48 Laws of Power.
Yeah.
It's not about becoming a master manipulator,
Right.
but about understanding the forces that shape our interactions
Yeah.
and using that knowledge to navigate the world more effectively.
And to do so with integrity and a sense of purpose,
Yes.
we have a choice in how we use this knowledge.
We do.
We can choose to use it to build, to create, and to empower. Or we can use it to control, to dominate, and to exploit.
It's a choice we all have to make.
Right.
And hopefully this deep dive has given you the insights and tools to make those choices more consciously
Yeah.
and wisely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the 48 Laws of Power,
Yes.
remember, knowledge is power.
It is.
But it's what you do with that knowledge that truly matters.
Absolutely.
Use it wisely, use it ethically, and use it to create the world you want to live in.
I love that.
And if you're looking for more in-depth analysis,
Yeah.
interviews with experts, and thought-provoking discussions on power, strategy, and human behavior, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yes.
We're constantly adding new content to help you navigate the complexities of life
Right.
and unlock your full potential.
Absolutely. And until next time,
Yeah.
stay curious, stay engaged, and stay empowered.